I hate when the Leafs lose to the Blues in overtime, no less. I know. What did Alex Steen score the OT winner? No. Tyler Bozak? No. Carl Gunnarsson? No. Carlo Koliakovo? When was the last time you watched the Blues game? You're telling me none of those guys scored? Correct. Honestly, dude, by Leaf standards, that's a win. Shut up and take the point. Hi! Victory puppy! Land the parade! I have no idea what I'm doing. Congratulations, this team is ruining my life! Leafs lose 3-2 in overtime to the St. Louis Blues. Leaf fans were going to talk. St. Louis Blues fans, if I were you, I would tap dance on the grave of my enemies and prepare for the playoffs because, oh my God. Here, you want to feel happy with numbers? That is win number 11 in a row for the Blues. Jordan Binnington, Bin Nasty, is 13-1-1. He's not going to win it, but this guy should maybe be in the Calder conversation. And don't worry about him winning the Calder because at this rate, Jordan Binnington is going to mess around and win the Conn Smythe. And what's the saying? You show me a great goalie, I'll show you a great coach. We'll get this. Leafs fans, raise your hand if you honestly forgot the Blues had a coaching change this year. I did. And in the summer, I said the Blues were a cup contender because on paper, they looked like it. They looked like a top 5 team in the league. Does anyone in the Western Conference want to play these guys in the first round? Hell no. The Blues are also an exercise in patience. Remember when they were going to trade Tarasenko? Remember when they were going to trade Pietrangelo? Remember when they were going to trade Parayko for absolutely no reason? All of a sudden they are securely in a playoff spot, might even get home ice advantage in the first round, and are hotter than Tampa. Out of nowhere, they're carving through the NHL like Goldberg in the late 90s. And unfortunately, the Leafs were next. Heck, compared to most of the teams they've played in the past month, the Leafs will take the point. That's how I would feel if I were you. Now, Leafs fans. This is Leafs fan reaction where I react to the game. But let me address something. Last night I got home from ice surfing. It was a fun show, but I was exhausted. And I didn't take my own advice, and I read a bunch of tweets before bed. And I saw that Austin Matthews played less than 17 minutes in this game that went to overtime that didn't have Nazem Kadri in it for all but 5. So I got a little hot under the collar, which I've been known to do from time to time, and tweeted some things. So let me show you what Mad Steve tweeted, and then I'll respond to Mad Steve, that unreasonable man. Matthews playing 16 minutes and 52 seconds in a game where Kadri got hurt is inexcusable. Give me strength with this stubborn coach, man. Tavares played 18:49. Why isn't anyone complaining about this as well? Because it's at least somewhere in the realm of sane. How neither of them managed to crack 19 minutes is asinine. Just terrible. He's just so bad. No, he's not. They get a modest 2 power plays and they're both over 19 minutes. Relax. They're allowed to play 5-on-5, I think. Let me consult the rule book to be sure. This is why I do morning after LFRs. Have a good night and play your stars! Now here's how little I can help myself. I had to pull up Twitter to read those tweets I just read to you, and while reading these tweets, trying to articulate why I should never tweet, I tweeted this. I'm putting my 1-0 record on the line. I think the Leafs make a move today. Call-ups don't count. These are the rules. Take this from me. I'm like a child. Okay, so, I was making a point before that. I've had some time to cool down. Babcock made some lineup decisions that I didn't like. People were talking to me like, well, the Leafs didn't get a power play, so that's why Matthews didn't play. Really? Like I rudely said to my friend there, he's allowed to play 5-on-5. And I'd be less concerned if Matthews didn't consistently play around 17 minutes when he does have power play time. I saw some people were mad about how much Hainsey played. I hate that less than Matthews. At least with Hainsey, okay, Dermott looked like he was hurt for a little bit, and Riley took his stinger. Nas left the game with a concussion. It was not a good night for the Leafs. But the Leafs' whole thing is, even if Kadri goes down, they have this 2-headed monster. And I just feel like they weren't given the amount of ice time that allows them to be fully monstrous. But was it as egregious as I made it seem? No, it wasn't. Last night it was Babcock should be fired! This morning it was his decision was less than ideal to me in my opinion, but ultimately I understand. This, to me, is the greater problem. The Leafs didn't get a single power play. Well, they didn't do a good job of drawing penalties. Well, they're soft and every game they play is flag football and they don't hit anybody and they don't invite it. Fart into a balloon, inhale it, and try to talk like it's helium. This is from Dom of The Athletic. Just another night of good old-fashioned clean hockey from the other guys. The 4th time this year. Just amazing how that happens. There have been 31 such games this season, and the only other teams with more than 2 are Los Angeles and Minnesota with 3. 4 other teams have 2. The 24 other teams have 1 or 0. Follow Dom at here's his Twitter handle and you deal with it. Love you, Dom. Oh, I thought we were past this. Leafs getting a bunch of power plays recently. Oh, it was so good. Blues fans thinking I'm complaining that the Leafs took 3 penalties. No, 3 penalties in one game is downright normal. The Leafs have only had 156 power play opportunities this season, which is second last now. Moving on up. Weird stat just while I'm on the site. The Leafs are 3rd last in power play opportunities in the first period, 14th in power play opportunities in the second, and 3rd last in the third period. What is it about the second period that makes the Leafs penalty drawing wizards? Or rather, what is it about the second period that makes the other team rule-breaking rule breakers? The answer is hockey is just made up. It's just made up. Last night in the Panthers-Sabres game, Jack Eichel breaks into the Panthers zone. Keith Yandel commits a penalty. I think it was a slash. Eichel scores, negating the penalty. The Sabres get a goal. The Panthers review it. Turns out Jack Eichel put himself offside, which I have always hated as a rule. It's one thing if there's another person involved. What does it matter if you put yourself offside? But no matter, it was ruled offside and the goal was waved off. But Keith Yandel goes to the box because he committed an infraction that was wiped away because of a goal, but because the goal wasn't a goal, the infraction was reinstated, and also because the goal wasn't a goal, the clock was wound back, so Keith Yandel committed a penalty during a time of the game that didn't exist. Is this fun? Are we all having fun? Now, it should be mentioned, lest I be hypocritical, that the Leafs are actually the least penalized team in the league. They've only been shorthanded 151 times. The Blue Jackets are second with 155. For reference, the Colorado Avalanche have been shorthanded 211 times. But I just remember earlier this year, weren't we talking about this? Leafs didn't get any power plays, but they also didn't have to kill any penalties. But the Avalanche got a lot of power plays and also had to kill a bunch of penalties. I refuse to believe that style of play. I think it's 100% you come into the game going, oh, it's the Leafs tonight. Here's how I'm going to call the game. The game. Oh, right, the game. Not great, Bob! The shots were 19-9 St. Louis in the first, and I'm surprised it wasn't worse. Because the Leafs were actually holding steady with St. Louis for the first half of the first period there in terms of actual shot numbers. But it just seemed like each one of the Blues shots was a chance. Freddie helped the Leafs hang on to dear life in the first 5 minutes of this game. It could have easily been 3 or 4-0 Blues. Halfway through the frame, the dam finally broke, which is an awful early time for the dam to break. Jake Muzzin loses an edge, just yard sails into the corner. Thank goodness he didn't get hurt. That could have been both ankles. Riley doesn't pick up on what happened in time, and even if he had, I don't think he would have made it in time. Bozak to Jaden Schwartz, who's completely wide open, scores on Freddie, 1-0 Blues. I'm not gonna blame that on anyone. That's just horrible luck. Because I think Jake Muzzin knows how to skate. A couple days ago, I slipped on ice at the dog park and I was on my back before I even knew I was falling. From someone who has been in a car accident, it feels like I've been in a car accident. So I arranged a trip to the chiropractor, and yesterday morning while I was getting in my car to go to the chiropractor, I slipped and fell again. Ice! It's slippery. It happens sometimes. For real though, I'm actually really sore and it hurts. I could have really used this win. Late in the period, the Leafs take a penalty. Well, that's not good. Colton Parayko, with all the patience in the world, a right-handed shot defenseman. Oh God. He fires a laser beam at the net. Ping off the post. Thank goodness that missed. Puck goes the other way. Oh, it's the horn. Why? They review the play and Colton Parayko's shot, which came from a player named Colton Parayko, who's amazing, and why would they ever trade him? Why can't we have good things? Scored. Is it possible that in St. Louis they were just trying to scare their players into being better? Tarasenko at 7.5, which is his cap hit, if he usually plays that way, he's fine. That's a great contract. Alex Pietrangelo is expiring. Yeah, at the end of next year. Colton Parayko is a 6'6", 25-year-old, consistent 30-plus point right-handed defenseman making $5.5 million against the cap this year and for the next 3. In what realm, in what reality does it make any sense for the Blues to trade that player? You could suck, rebuild, and be back to contention before that contract's even up. Blues fans, you dodged a mighty bullet there. Unfortunately, so did Freddie. 2-0 Blues after 1. Second period, not only are the Leafs down, but they're without Kadri. It was at very least a more encouraging period. Leafs outshoot the Blues 16-13. That's way better. And you know what was encouraging to see from Leafs fans last night? He didn't get a single point, but so many people were like, this has been Nylander's best game of the season. Which makes you wonder why he only played 15-19. But Nylander, in a game, no goals, no assists, 3 shots, that's okay. Visually was flying out there. Saw some people go, oh, Nylander's back. He's been back. I love Matthews with Kapanen, but give him Nylander. He's ready. Or let me suggest the thing that Twitter's been screaming for about 2 months. Give him both. I don't know what the plan is on Thursday. I don't know if Kadri's going to miss any time at the time that I'm shooting this, but how about Marleau third line center and a line of Matthews, Kapanen on the left, Nylander on the right. Keep the Hyman, Tavares, Marner line together, and maybe the third line is Johnson, Marleau, Brown. This is, of course, if Kadri doesn't miss any time, which I hope he doesn't. But if he's actually hurt, I hope he does. So, third period. All the Leafs have to do is score 2 goals against a goalie who hasn't allowed a goal in like a month, and a team that hasn't lost in like a month. Should be easy. Want to know the great thing about hockey? So often when a goalie has a ridiculous shutout streak going, you go, oh my goodness, what kind of ridiculous move is it going to take to finally solve him? And the answer is always something stupid like this. Tavares in the blue zone, he's doing what Tavares does so well. On a fast team where speed really stands out, Tavares is not one of the fastest players, but what I notice so often, especially in the high slot of the offensive zone, he can just stick handle in a phone booth. And he's got 2 blues on him and he falls to his knees and he loses it. Alex Pietrangelo goes for the exit. Nope! Tavares helps takes it away. Zach Hyman gets the puck, throws it on, and Joel Edmondson puts it into his own net. Because of course, by law, that's how it has to go. That's number 11 for number 11, his champagne goal, if you will, and the Leafs are on the board. Jordan Binnington is human! And in my ongoing study of assists, Tavares does not get one on this play. I understand why he didn't get one, but come on. I'd love to know if teams keep internal stats like primary assists, secondary assists, and then something like assists, but really. What would you even call that? A good on ya? Oh, you know, he only had 30 points last season, but he led our team in good on yas. The thing about good on yas is they help you win, but they don't really help you in contract negotiations. Then in a few years, agents going, my client had 40 good on yas last year. Sometimes when they lose, the coffee's still good. Edmondson scores that Zach Hyman goal. What? And there's a little under 13 and a half minutes to go in the game. Can they do it again? Can they score on Binnington with a shot? And the answer is no, but they didn't have to. About 30 seconds later, Leafs are in the Blues offensive zone again. That's good. Be there. Kapanen to Zaitsev at the point, and Zaitsev coming in a little bit more like he has been lately. Matthews being a jerk in front. What do you play for the Hurricanes? Zaitsev throws it on off Matthews' foot and in. The Leafs stun the Blues, who have allowed 2 goals in 30 seconds somehow, neither of which was an actual shot, and the Leafs have tied it up 2-2. Or have they? Because whispering into his sleeve is Steve Ott, who I guess is the Blues' go-to guy in the should we or shouldn't we challenge department. Because if there's anyone who knows anything about getting away with things that the ref might have missed, it's Steve Ott. And the St. Louis Blues issue one of the most shocking challenges I've seen. And man, that's saying something. It went off of Matthews' foot and it, like, there's 0 kicking motion. Are you joking? I gotta imagine the sleeve conversation was, well, it's clearly a goal, but it's Matthews, so they might actually call it back. And after they call it a good goal, they go, oh, the St. Louis Blues lose their timeout. No, they used it. That's all that was a timeout. That goal was never gonna not count. That had a 2% chance of not counting, but I guess the Blues said, well, we just got scored on twice in 30 seconds, and there is still a 2% chance, so why not challenge it? This is why the penalty for offside challenges that are unsuccessful is ridiculous. This review is a delay of game, but it's the NHL. Go up to the wheel of rules and spin! What am I so mad about? Austin Matthews, who is a Leaf with his 28th of the season, in its season where he's missed a lot of time. This is another reason why I wish Matthews would have played more. He's been a unit recently. And watching him be nasty in front of the Blues net, it's funny. We forget how young he is. Like, often when I ask LFR questions, I'll get people talking to me about how he's soft. He's not very nasty. Okay, well, not everyone comes into the league with the last name Kachuk. Sooner or later, Matthews was going to discover he's actually pretty big. All the while, he's getting bigger. And the more confident he gets, the nastier he's going to get. And he's been feeling himself recently. If he can bring that same energy to the playoffs, he's gonna be a monster. More so than he already is. Marner sets up Zach Hyman for an excellent chance with 3 minutes to go, but the Leafs can't bury it. Freddie shuts the door. The Leafs preserve a point, and they head to overtime. Early in overtime, Marner rushing in. He's got a shot. He chooses not to take it. Wraps around the net, and oh, if he can just pull off that pass to Tavares, that's probably game. Instead, he runs right into the ref. I don't even think that's the ref's fault. Tavares does his best to catch up to O'Reilly, but O'Reilly's got momentum. It's a 2-on-1. O'Reilly takes the shot, snipe, scores. What are you gonna do? Can't blame that on Freddie. That is an amazing shot, and Freddie is the main reason the Leafs were even in this game. Freddie came into this game with a .923 save percentage. Then he allowed 3 goals, and his save percentage went up because he faced a lot of rubber. Questions. Oh boy. If we were to add another piece defensively, Dermott comes out of the lineup, doesn't he? Now listen, in fairness, Dermott hasn't been dominant, right? He has the tools to be that one day. He just needs to actually be that. You know what? I like the job Kyle Dubas has done with this team so far. He shored up some options for next year. He added Muzzin. He added Tavares. Babcock ultimately makes the lineup decisions, but surely Dubas won't let this happen to his team. I mean, unless he does. I don't think he will. Kyle Dubas might trade for Roman Polak. Kyle Dubas is more likely to switch to contacts than get Roman Polak. Should the Leafs call up Pierre Engvall, aka the Swedish Daddy Longneck? Also, here's what he'd look like on your body. Okay, so here's a very intriguing player. Pierre Engvall is a skilled scoring forward on the Marlies who's also 6'5". So he's a good combination of a good player and someone Babcock would like. But something I retweeted last night from Mike Stevens, who covers the Marlies extensively, Pierre Engvall has recently been playing a lot of center to a great deal of success. And it got some people thinking, well, if Kadri misses any time, should they maybe call up Engvall? I don't think that's smart to do. The Leafs aren't in such a pinch that they have to do that. That seems to me to be the sort of thing that they would need to have to do. It's not very often you strike gold with a winger that you convert to a center this late. It's not the sort of thing you should rush, because if you nail it, this really helps the team going forward. The Leafs have Ennis waiting in the wings, and they have 2 centers on the 4th line anyway. Plus, they have Nylander who can play center, and Marleau who can play center. They don't need to call up Engvall. The Marlies are for development. Let them develop. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. Don't forget that you can still add closed captioning to my videos. We're going to record a brand new Panago Pizza Steve Dangle podcast today. Might need another coffee. Hopefully it's good. And my book is still available for pre-order. Link down below. And the Marner jar.